Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Faith by Grace. My name is Nadia.
And I'm Brittany.
And on this channel, we're going to share real life stories about our faith based journey.
Guys, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I press that notification bell to get notified when we post. Yeah. So where we left off, part 2 of the last video was I was explaining to you guys the story about the car situation and when we went upstairs, everything, and then I got choked out again. Um After that it was just gosh. Same thing again. I didn't leave. I was there. I still went and bought his mom a cake. And I before that happened, actually, I think after I got choked out, we realized like I really do genuinely think though in those moments, like I really do, now that I know, like Ephesians 6 says and Paul talks about we fighting it not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers, find wicked in high places. I really know it was demonic because I would see where he would be manifesting into anger to where it would just be like taking me out to the next point. It's like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And I really do believe it was genuine. I'm not even gonna lie to you. But it wasn't for me to stay in. And that's for him to deal with God. But I do think it was genuine and just realize how the enemy, as I look back on it. But whatever. It happened. It was his mom's birthday. Family, his family was over. Still went and bought her a cake. Still stayed. Mind you, I got scratched on my neck. My burn. Didn't really get much sleep last night.
So,
My eyes is red.
I just have a question before you go any further. Did anyone ask you, hey, Brittany,
No one knew.
why you have a scratch on your neck, or
No
why
one
is
knew.
your hairline like why is
No
your?
one could tell. No one knew.
Did you
Very
cover
believed.
it?
Yeah, of course I covered it.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't going like.
I was just curious because I know people asking that question.
No, I wasn't gonna.
Or
Don't just
thinking it.
walk out. No, I was covered it. So I remember I ended up going to his brother's house and just no remorse, you know,
No.
in the car ride. And then what hurt me, because after everything, as a girl or just people, when we love hard. And then after everything, they just put your hands on me, all this stuff. I'm just like, so you really slept with her? So you really did that? This and this and that? And they're like, yeah. Oh, if you don't like it, we can go back home right now. You don't got to go to my brother's house. And what did I do? I still went to the brother's house. That was that control. That was just like our relationship at that point. Was just I was just gonna do whatever. And man, it's just so many times, I knew I should have left. Two more instances I'll tell you guys about before I tell you my journey up to how I got back home. One more instance, these are just the ones that stayed with me the most. September 11th, I remember that day for sure. September 11th, I want to say 2019. We were upset at each other for whatever reason. I don't know. Angry, not speaking. He had something to go to for a firefighting thing, some like a job interview, something like that. I had rekindled back with one of my former friends, and we were talking, and I felt like he would be manipulative. Of course, he was controlling, which is not fine, but it is what it is. And I remember texting my friend the night because instead of like he had asked, we weren't speaking, so instead of asking me, he had asked his mom if I could go to the place with him.
Mm-hmm.
So me being a girl, I was like, girl, he think he's slick. He asked his mom. I was like, he gonna ask his mom to ask, and his mom gonna ask me if I can go. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go, but he think he's so slick, and this, whatever. Mind you, this time, this is a lot it was a lot going on, but I'm gonna just give you a little brief synopsis. Me and my mom had rekindled. Not really, but we had talked. That was one of our first meetups. So where this is stemming. It was this situation, yes, that happened. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna go into that because that's where the argument came from. Thank you, Holy Spirit. So what happened was, met my mom after I don't know how many years. Met up with my mom. We went out to eat. He came with me because he was like, oh, I'm gonna come with you, blah blah blah, whatever. My mom had reached out. I didn't want to accept. He persuaded me to accept. I accepted. Let me hear what she got to say. Meet up at this pizza parlor, talking, blah blah blah, getting excited. Oh yeah, we're gonna go to the football game. We're gonna do this.
She was excited.
We're gonna do that. And I'm like, I couldn't believe how just fast like I felt. Yeah. I was like, yeah, like I'm ready.
We were back as a family.
I didn't realize how I was yearning it, and then I was like, dang, I didn't even want to see this lady, and then this is happening. Whatever. We all leave after like an hour or so. We say goodbye. As soon as we get in the car, you know, like what happened there? Like, like you moved too fast. Like you already saying you're going to the football game. You haven't talked to him in years. Like you can't trust her. You don't, this is like really what's going on. And I'm like, dang, I literally went from, yeah, to this. I
And
felt this
yep,
small.
I remember that day. And she calls me, and I mean, because I'm her mom, she was missing her mom. Before all of this, guys, Brittany and I were very close. Like you would have seen me without my daughter. Like she was like my accessory. You understand? While my son was outside playing and riding his bike, and he's a social butterfly, Brittany and I would be watching movies or doing girly things, going shopping, all of that kind of stuff. That's how it was. So when she came back that time and we were talking, it was just back to normal. It was just like, okay, I argued with my mom. Let's move on. I'm excited to go see my literally, guys. She drove out of the parking lot, busted a U-turn, headed west where she was going, and my phone rang. Hey mom, yeah. I just think I just this is what she's saying to me. I just don't wanna I just wanna take it slow. I think things are moving to but I knew then that's when I realized that I
I
was
was
for
under so much
sure
control.
that I knew this kid was toxic. That's when I really realized to the levels of, and I knew she was now. That's when I could almost bet $1 million that she was in a abusive relationship. But she would never tell. But I knew it, and that's when I was sure because I know I came out of that. So I definitely understood that, oh, this is the manipulative spirit. This is the guilt spirit. And I knew he was feeling that way because I remember I said to him, do you want something to drink? He was like, no. What I really did want was boxy at the time because I know one day you're going to see the video, but I'm going to take the personal feelings out because it was just, he controlled. I cried. Like, I can't tell you how I felt because I couldn't get her out of his grasp. I couldn't get her out of his grasp.
So from that, I remember being like, I was literally like, oh my gosh, like I was happy. I didn't realize how excited I was. After all this talk, hating my mom, telling my dad and how much I hate my mom, and as soon as I see my mom, I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to leave. Like, well, we got to link up. Boom, literally get in the car, my car, and he's like, you don't think that went too fast? You don't think you moving too fast? Like, I felt low. And that's one thing in my relationship that I always felt was low. He always knew how to just bring, like the enemy knew how always just to knock me just 10 times lower than my self-esteem was. And it was already low, obviously, if I was in this relationship. And I was like, dang, my heart like literally broke. I felt my heart shattered to pieces
Yeah, he
because
he knew how to
I
control
felt
you.
like, dang, like that's my mom. And I feel like now, even if I'm not saying, even if what he said was true, like, oh, your mom was lying at certain things, and like even if that was true, I felt like it was my mom and it was my right. Like let
Well,
me
yeah.
figure that out. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
but
But
you already got him involved and you already
no,
got it
I
was
know,
too
but
late. Like, yeah,
it's still at the end of the day,
I
if it
understand.
was still my, if it
If it
was
was
still my
his
mom,
mom, you
and
wouldn't
when
say
I
it.
was pushing, and when him and his mom had, I was pushing. No, talk to your mom. God says about forgiveness. I know she may do this and that, but that's your mom. You know what I'm saying? And he did it, but in a
With a tight leash.
yes, like you could only talk to her but so much,
Yeah.
like like. And I remember, and then from then things started to go left because he realized, wait, you really upset that I said that? Like, what's wrong with you? Ever since I said that, you have a countenance like you look sad, like your whole, like literally my shoulders just dropped, like when your body posture just say you wear what you feel. And I was like, nothing, it's fine. Then it turned into the argument of, oh, ever since your mom came into the picture, like me and her started texting a little bit. Even though we would talk about things that she did or we were trying to figure it out, we were in the midst of just trying to put pieces together. And I remember one time, literally so vivid, being in Walmart, because one thing we used to do is walk Walmart at all time of night. It used to be 21, it used to be 24 hours. We used to walk to Walmart. I remember one time I was texting her, and I remember he was like, the spirit, like the countenance on was like, you don't think you texted her too much? You don't think you moving a little too fast? I remember being like, what? Like, no. Like, it's my mom. Like, what do you mean? Like, that's it. I was like, what? No, it's my mom. Like, what do you mean? But then there it goes again, feeling low. Like, dang, am I moving too fast? I am. Like, he's upset. Like, became that. Then I realized, dang, I gotta choose. I felt like I had to choose between the person I'm staying with and I love and it's not perfect. I think I'm gonna be with forever and ever. And my mom that, I was just angry with. So it was just easier to just, and I was still talking to her.
And 1 second, Brittany, I want to just say this. I'm not going to take long to talk. That's one of the signs of abuse, guys. He was controlling her.
Yep.
He was manipulating her. Like, and he knew that if she found her mom and we got back close, she'd be right where she is now. It would have just happened earlier. And he knew that because he knew he now had her. Remember, she's Ubering for him. She's taking care of him. He's driving her car. Everything is Brittany. Yeah, she's doing everything. So like he has this girl that's latching on to him that needs him, and he likes that control. You understand? And so that manipulative spirit is like, okay, well, I'm a make her feel dejected. I'm gonna make her feel worthless. I'll make her. It knew her. It knew that's where you call a familiar spirit. It knew how to operate and to bring her down, and definitely didn't want him want to get close to me. It was like, no, not your mom. So it was, you didn't. She backed out. Like,
just like he said though, because of that, it's like what was the last thing he said? Because of that, I smiled because God is just good, and I'm just like,
I'm not really smiling, guys.
But I just
hard
know
for me,
my story, and even as like she said, like he knew, and because, and even in the time, like I'm just gonna be real and raw about it. My dad wasn't there for me the way he needed to be, and that was take my mom out the picture where she didn't know. He used to say to me, "Your dad kind of just dumped you on me. Your dad not." He like, I'm just, this is to be aware, guys, about not bashing anybody, I'm not throwing anyone under the bus, but your dad kind of just left me on you. And he knew I wasn't really messing with my mom at the time. Of course, we weren't speaking. This was the most like, your dad not really, like, it's just me living to take care of you, like, and I was just like, I used to feel so low
and putting those thoughts in your mind,
so low, like so low,
like
super
my
duper duper
mom.
low.
I hate my mom, and my
And then
dad
my
don't
dad
care
don't care
nothing.
about me. He don't, which I felt like at the time was true too. Like it's true enough to an extent, but it was all spiritual warfare.
But I also want to interject because this channel is not about breaking down anyone
No.
or even attacking her dad. Up to this very day, her dad fights his own demons. He really has a hard time.
I'm not saying it's about my dad. I'm just saying.
Yeah. No. I know, but
said. Yeah,
we know, and when this is watched, I just
fine.
right.
I'm just saying.
Right.
That's what was being put into my head. At the end of the day, I feel like it's my story, it's my perception of things. Other people's perception could be perfect, like totally different, and that's fine. But I'm just saying this was being, sewed into my head, and so I already felt like, yeah, my dad, like, he ain't there. My mom, we ain't not talking. We had odds. I used to be so depressed. So then, when this happened, I realized it was like, wait, yo, you talking to your mom? And then it came like, oh, you putting your mom before me? Like, oh, ever since your mom came into the picture, like, you've been putting her before. And I'm like, how? Like, then I think I just kind of cut my mom. So I think that's what the divide came to the point where we were even talking to a friend about the situation and like getting a thing. And I think he had hit me. He did. And I can't remember the time. It was at this point. He had hit me in the point, and he was embarrassed for his friend to know. He didn't want one of his friends to know. But I said it because I was like, yeah, and he, did this and that. And I'm just like, because of my mom. And then he just told us, was like, oh, don't talk to her about her mom. That's a sensitive topic. And, keep it pushing, whatever. Already at the time, me and my mom, I had kind of dissed it because I chose him. I chose the boy. Just the way it goes. Not just the way it goes, but that's just the way it went. Like, I chose him. So in this particular time now, September 11th, everything was already heated up. And like I told you guys, I was texting the friend of mine, and I texted our girlfriend, I'm supposed to be going with him early in the morning, get up all the way to James O Night Center, girl. And that's why I said that day was like traumatizing for me. Went to James O Night Center, and remember going to take a shower here, you take a shower, going to take a shower. This is when like the signs that someone's possessive. And I was like, okay, come out the shower. I didn't think nothing of it because we weren't talking. This whole time I'm gonna go support him, we weren't speaking. That's fine. Get in the car, and I realized like he goes to get breakfast. Don't get me nothing. Like, I'm not a type person, if I'm with you, I'm not gonna feed you, And I just let it be. I took a lot of stuff like that. This is just, I'm just giving you guys like the glimpse of the relationship. And okay. Then I don't remember how we started arguing. I just remember being in that car, like I hate my life. Like I literally broke down crying because come to find out he went in my phone and looked at the messages, looking for messages with me, for me and you talking about him. That's where his mind was. But he looked at the message with me and my friend who's going through my phone. And so that's where the spirit in him, he was just feeding, he was angry. Because one thing a person deals with is anger. The spirit of anger is on him heavy. And was just riling up. And he's already bigger than me and he was going off. I don't remember how we got into it. Then it was like, you're not worth ish. Like you nerve nothing. Your mama don't want you. Your daddy don't want you. And I remember this because it cut my heart to the core. All of this stuff calling me out my name, saying how he gonna call my mom. He tried calling my mom phone. My mom phone wasn't answering. Whatever. He acted like he gonna call my dad. Gonna call my grandma. Talking about this and that. Cursed me out. And I just remember that being the longest car ride of my life. Going at it, and I was just crying. Like I just could not believe it. And I realized I might have, like, I wasn't a strong person. I felt like I couldn't come back the way they were coming back because I don't know to hurt
No,
people
you
how
were
they hurt.
strong. You just didn't find your
But I
strength.
didn't find my strength. I felt like I couldn't hurt people the way they hurt me. I didn't know what else to say. I would try, but like he cut me to the core.
Well, he just used your fragilities. He used what bothered.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
just shows
but no, I'm just saying there was more, but I can't remember. But it just cut me to the core in that car. Talking about
right.
chew me up, spit me out, call me all out of my name. It's okay. And finally, we get to this place, right? Get to the parking lot. Thing escalated. Mind you, that same friend I was speaking up to, she ends up, I forgot how, we ended up arguing. Of course, we were already arguing. Gets out, I think he got out in the car. My friend called. He ends up like taking my phone because she's calling, he bit my phone, breaking it, trying to get it out my hand so I don't answer the phone for her, biting my hand. I don't know if I ended up being slammed on the windshield, but it broke. Ended up choking me out. I end up on the floor. And all I remember is this demon standing over me, breathing. And I'm thinking, yeah, for sure today someone will see something.
Rage.
But it was so, it was in morning time, so I guess not much people breathing. And this is just so that it is, oh, this B trying to get me, trying to put me in jail. She trying to put me in jail. This B trying to put me in jail. And I'm like, wow. I just remember being on the floor. Like I thought I had passed out, but I'm hyperventilating. I'm just, it's a lot. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. This person just put their hands on me again and saying, I'm trying to put them in jail. Like I just couldn't believe what I was hearing, what I was seeing, what I was going through. My phone would not work because it was broken. My hand was like, bite marks. My phone was broken because they didn't want me. It was just toxic. And that day was toxic. So I had to end up somehow calling his parent because he left, stormed off, closed the door, locked me out of it, threw my stuff out the car, and left and went to do this interview. And left to do his interview, and I had to call his family sometime, like use Siri, because my phone, I couldn't do anything. And I'm telling his, as I said, his family knew, but it's fine. Telling his family, they're just like, oh, they know that their brother, but I should have just never been with him. I can't even blame nobody. I'm not saying it was right, but I just should have never been with him.
The family also used her I will never bring that up because that could just, the family took advantage of you, Brittany. They took advantage of your naiveness. They took advantage of they took advantage of her because there's a totally separate incident where the family used her and they know what they did and it was totally legal. But for my daughter, I'll just let that go. Like I won't put that on. And for them too. Funny enough, in the midst of pain, God teaches you to be merciful because Brittany's fine, but I'm not going to try to destroy them. Even though sometimes you may have the power to do something, but you don't have to do it because God is the ultimate avenger, guys. What I want to say on that is when I heard that Brittany was leaving my friend's house, I called her uncle. He was a friend of mine. He and his wife, we were friends. And she called him Uncle Zach. And I called him and begged him because she would not speak to me at the time. There was so much anger. And I called and I asked him, please tell Brittany, no matter where she is and no matter what's going on, my house is, as long as there's a roof over my head, there'll always be a roof over her head. And she didn't want to come. And with that, you already know the rest of the journey. But because, and the reason why I got panicked in that moment, because I have been in Brittany's shoes. I have lived in people's house. It's never the same. And that's their son. Now, I am the kind of person where I have a son, and there is no way in this God-given earth I would ever allow my son to put his, I would fight my son and call 911. If she don't want to do it, I will do it. But that's me. And because I've always been raised with the conviction of Jesus Christ, that's me. And I can't expect another person to be like that. So they sheltered him, they defended him. I even remember a time you told me that mom said, oh, one day this girl is going to call the cops on you. So why didn't you do it? Why didn't you call the cops on your
But
own
that's
son?
because abuse was.
No, you know what I'm saying? I, I, what I will do, another person won't do. And I'm not saying this for the camera. If you know me personally, you know me well. If my son is out there beating women, you best believe he going to jail, because something got to stop him. You understand? Because if not, somebody's gonna stop him later. You understand? So I'd rather be the one to stop him. Um, it was his family, and they're gonna stick together. They're gonna lie together. There's so much more, guys, that I'll just leave it
At
alone
the end
and
of the
let
day,
time and God handle the rest. But when it comes
right.
on to the family and the things they did do to my daughter, when I tell you full advantage, full abuse, like mentally, emotionally, took advantage because she was a kid. What everyone is not realizing, she was 17 and a half when she left. Then she was 18. 18-year-olds,
I had just turned 18.
they don't know nothing. Like, let's be real. 18, 19, like even now, they're still seeking, they're still confused. That's why half of them are in college and we're still supporting them. And because they're trying to figure out life. These were not issues that I wanted her to face. But that abuse, guys, if someone is out there, please, please, I'm begging you, get help. Continue.
Yeah, but I just ended up calling the family, and they had to pay for my Uber. Told them what happened and how to pay for my Uber. Mom doesn't really speak much English, so the sister had to tell her, sister, I spoke to the older sister, and pay for my Uber. And I realized, with that family, they don't talk about much that they go through. They go through a lot, but they don't talk about it. So when I got there, I was just like, what the heck? Because nobody gonna say nothing to me, what? Talking to the sister, like trying to find a way to bring it up, and then, I mean, they all know who he is, but they're like, whatever.
It's their family. It's their
They're just like,
family.
oh, I don't deal with him because of that, and like, it's fine, it's whatever, because of the anger issues. Just stuff that doesn't need to be said
Right.
over camera, and whatever. So she's just like, but one thing I can say though, sometimes she did let me, like when stuff would happen and she knew he would put his hands on me, she knew she would let me like stay in her room, like sleep with me. You're not sleeping in there, you're not going. She's like, he can't touch you in here, I stay in my room. So I remember I stayed in her room for a while, and that day, ironically, later on that day, mind you, I had to take an Uber all the way from James L. Knight Center after going through that. It was like an hour Uber. That was a long, depressing ride. And I remember going back to the home, like being in that home, and that day, you had therapy. You first time you were coming back to my therapy session, and we had therapy session. I just felt like, ugh, it just went left fine, Then got back home after all of that day, got back to the house. This person's outside. No, sorry, before that, when we came back, because I was home before the therapy session happened, like I just felt so small telling his sister, oh, why is she still here? I want her out of my house now. She needs to leave. She got to go right now. She got to go right now. And the sister's like, no, don't say that. She can stay here. She wants to this and this and that. But I realized, and I look back at it now, she was also saying that because I was doing something for the family. So she needed me,
Oh yeah.
So
it was all for self game. It was not.
But it wasn't that it wasn't that I don't think they really needed. They wanted me there. Yeah, they could. I was beneficial to them in certain aspects, but she needed me for her own personal reasons. And he was like, "Oh, I want her out of my house now. Like she used to go, blah 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 blah, whatever." This felt so small. I remember going in there, get my clothes, like shower. Just felt so disgusted and small, looking at me and nasty, like treating me like dirt. Okay, scum off the ground.
And then it's so funny because we did have therapy that day, and I felt attacked from Brittany. It was so crazy how the enemy. I guess the therapist knew what was going on. You told Miss Black.
No,
Oh, so she even hit it
nobody
from.
knew nobody knew what I was going through.
No, I thought so. Then she hit it from all of us, and then remember the conversation. I remember the conversation. I was like, no, like, and I was at this place where I was just so tired because I was, I reached out to her before and she rejected. It was just, it was
It just
now when
wasn't
I
time.
looked at it, it was just she wasn't ready to let go yet.
No, but I just felt like in that therapy session, it was just not a good time. I just felt like everything my mom had said before, she twisted her mouth on it and was kind of coming at me. But I just think, like I said, it wasn't time, and I was already going through a lot that day. Didn't talk to nobody about. It wasn't time.
Definitely, because I didn't even know all of that was going on, because I would definitely no time to sit and
Mm-hmm.
logically think, because in therapy, guys, like, you're not just, you could say your opinion and I could say mine, but that doesn't mean either one of them is right. It's just stating your your truth.
Yeah.
I don't think you were in any position to receive any of that.
Mm-hmm.
Pity we didn't know. Pity she didn't say, Mama, let's not do this session. But then again, that was a moment where she had free from all this turmoil.
Exactly.
So, and listen, if she had even told me a smidgen of what was going on, Brittany would not have gone back there, because I never wanted to force her. But in that moment, I would have forced her, like, because that was a dangerous situation. I could have not had my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
I could have not had my daughter.
So when I got back home after that therapy session, the person was outside waiting for me. Of course, manipulated, bawling his eyes out. Listen, I'm sorry. Please take me back. I'm just like my father. Take me back. I'm sorry. Just the same old, same old.
And it's the same excuse always. I'm just like my father. I'm just like my father.
And then I'm just like, I just want to go. Like, I really, at that point, you ever just feel like dejected? Like, you can't take no more? My body was out. I was physically, emotionally, mentally drained. Like, I'm like, I can't take no more. And here I am again, feeling sad. I'm like, okay, let's just go in the house and talk about this. Because, like, we're outside. You're over here pleading and boo-hoo bawling. I don't got time for this. I've been through this so many times, whatever. Go upstairs, and it's like, my family talked to me. And at first I wasn't getting it. They told me I was wrong for how I treated you. I should never act like that towards you. How I wouldn't want no one to act like that towards them, and da 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 da. And you start crying. I'm like, yeah. Of course you don't want to hear it. Then I'm like, start boo crying, like really crying, eyes red, puffy. And what do? I pacify this person that just tore me apart a couple hours ago, verbally and physically. I just pacified him, hugged him, and told him it was okay. Took him back. And, it was just how it went. That was a toxic cycle. Last thing before I get to was, of course, and just the thing, FYI, this person would threaten to kill me a lot. Like, in those times, I will kill you. At first, I didn't really believe it. But I always feel like, always listen to what someone tells you. And they say, when
please
someone
believe
speaks
it, guys.
in anger, believe it.
Please believe it.
One thing I can say is, just like my mom said, for girls my age, older, younger, leave. Because one thing I remember saying was, one of the reasons I didn't leave was, how am I going to do it without him? But who is he? In the sense of, the only person we're supposed to do it with is Jesus Christ. And that's how it was meant to be. So I just remember thinking, how am I going to do it without him? I can't be alone without him. And I wanted that love so bad. Mm-hmm. I adapted and thought that was love. That was the toxic cycle of abuse I was in. Even though I knew it wasn't right, there was many times I'd cry in my car. I would bawl. I would just sit there and be like, I know I'm not supposed to be in this. But that love that I yearned, even though it wasn't a healthy love, I stayed. So last thing, because my God, doesn't I say my God, he's a great God, faithful God. June 20th, I think specifically like June 29th became.
June 29th.
June 29th. I remember vividly.
2021.
Let me tell you, when they say God orchestrates our footsteps. Before we came to Florida, my mom didn't know how much hell I was reeking in that room. And I say room because it was a room we stay in. I was so depressed I would never come out the room at my grandma's house. In that room with that man. Like when I tell you I knew, when, and I say it now, I always say it to you, I say it to my mom, when the enemy knows you about to be free, so
You
he
about to
ups the
break
notch, you about
free.
to break free, so he turns up the notch. Like it went from 20 to 50. And I remember sitting thinking, God, like, what is going on? And mind you, I knew God, I would still listen to my gospel music and just cry. And just like, God, what's going on? Like, I remember, and my mom said we never used to drink and smoke, but honestly, we did, unfortunately. Even after my son, when I didn't want to, and I was like, dang, like, here we
No, I'm
go
talking
again.
about before you left the house, girl.
Oh, no, yeah. I'm talking
Yeah,
about my
I'm
grandma's
talking
house.
about.
Like, after my baby, like, we go to
Oh,
sleep.
you
He
grandma
would go
house.
sometimes, and, like, I didn't want to do it anymore because I had my son. But, like, my son is, like I said, children are a blessing. And, and my son, he gave me that strength in a sense, but I was like, oh, I don't want to do this. But still went drunk and smoke because it was like, oh, come on, you lame. You can't just live like this and this and that. So we still be doing familiar things. So still getting sloppy drunk, son sleeping. And I remember one time, this is all before we went to Florida. We already had the plans, like things was already bought. And he's like,
Wait, this is before you came to see me
before
for
we
the
came
first
to see
time?
you. Yeah, because I'm saying this is the steps
Oh.
orchestrating leading up and saying what God did. And I remember like, dang, okay, one night got drunk. Like I said, at this point, we had been drinking for how many years, smoking for whatever. And I realized every time this person gets drunk or high, like starts manifesting off 1,000, like become a totally different person, like hated me to my core.
He was
Like
an
that
angry
spirit,
drunk.
yeah. But
Mm-hmm.
not just that, the weed, I thought weed would pacify. I remember I would always want him to smoke weed because I felt like when he smoked weed, he was nicer to me. When he didn't, like, he hated me. Like, it was like disdain for me, but it was the spirits inside him hating me, And I was like, dang, like, and I felt like in my relationship, if he did something to me, when he did stuff to me, whether it was cheat, whatever it was, whatever I found out, put his hands on me, I forgive him with the quickness and don't hold it against him. When it was me, oh, drag me through the mud, put me down, make me feel like I was this low, would look at me and just knew my trigger points. Oh, look at you, you fat, you disgusting. Like, just put me down. So I just remember this one time, drunk though, my baby started crying. Even though it was like, I got my son. At that time, he was the only one working, but it was only like 7 hours, 3 to 8, 7 hour shift. And I would feel like I would just be the one taking care of our kid. Whatever. Got my son. And I remember holding him. And the nastiest in him, he just got up. It's like yanked my son out my hand. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, I have him. Pulling my baby out my hand. Like my newborn, like maybe 2 months, maybe 3 months out my hand. And I'm just like, what the heck? And I remember him slapping me in my face. Like, oh, my effing son. I got it. I'm like, I didn't want to hurt my child. So I just let go. And I don't remember what. I don't even know why. Like what transpired. We were just fine. He made his bottle. He's like, I want my effing son. And I'm like, and then like he's so drunk. It's like telling my baby's crying. He's telling him, shut the F up. And that's why I was like, yeah, no. Like, shut the F up. I'm like, yo, watch how you're talking to him. He's a baby. We shouldn't be doing this if he has no idea what's going on. Why? But I didn't have my strength. So I couldn't save him the way I wanted to. I didn't tell everybody upstairs what was going on. So I
Mind
had
you,
to leave it.
her uncle was
My
there,
uncle
her
was there. My
grandfather,
grandparents were
her
upstairs. Nobody
grandma.
knew what was going on. We was downstairs. They was upstairs. And I remember like trying to get my baby, and I think he hit me again. And the reason I say I know he hit me again is I remember standing there where I looked like, and I just said, God. I said, God, I can't. What? I was like, at this point, I don't deserve this. I know I haven't been living the life I was supposed to be living, but I don't deserve this. And loud and clear, I heard God said, vengeance is mine, says the Lord.
Amen.
So I said, okay. And I keep toughing it out. And it got worse, more stuff to where a point where my grandma heard and came downstairs and was like, what's going on? It sounds like people hitting each other downstairs. What's going on? What's going on? And I'm lying. It's not nothing. She's like, it's not nothing because it sounds like someone's hitting each other. And once she left, because I shut down, that person was like, oh, look at this. You got your grandma coming downstairs and this and that. And then because I wouldn't listen, boom, slap me in my face. Start crying. This is all leading up to before I came to Florida. It's just letting that be known. And then my mom was like, And then I'm like crying. Like I can't believe, even after my grandma was just up saying that she sounded like people hitting each other, because what had happened was we argued about something. I was asking him to move his legs. I was sitting somewhere. He was ignoring me on his phone, doing it on purpose, intentional. I threw a box at him or something. No, I forgot what happened. I was like moving his feet. And he's like, don't touch me. Whatever happened. And I told him, he like kicked me. I was like, don't kick me. And I like moved his legs and he got up and we were just kind of fighting. And he was like, you know, a man hit you. Bruises all over my body. And even though to the next morning. And then after that, that's what my grandma heard, came down and left. Then I laid there. Oh, you, because the spirits in him would just, you know, go and manifest. He's like, oh, you got your grandma down here talking, da 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 da. You're not even listening to me right now. That's one of the things. Like, you're not even listening to me. You don't even care. I was like, listen, I don't have anything to say. Because one thing about me, I realized in that time, I just went numb. Like it's like I couldn't even feel
And
anything.
I want to say something real quick because I need you guys to understand spiritual warfare.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know you hear her referring to the spirits in him, and that's because we're looking at it on a Christian aspect. But I want you to know this: we choose our behavior.
Yes, we do.
He is willingly choosing to be this person.
Mm-hmm.
Demons can't attack you and
Mm-hmm.
come after your life if there's no open doorways in your
Mm-hmm.
choosing. I mean, you may have some issues, closed, generational, whatever, but it's not like he's an awesome person and the demons just jump on
Right.
him. And because I don't want anyone to feel like, oh, it's because he had a demon on him or because they were manifest. No, he chose this. This is
The same way I
you,
chose to stay is the
she
same way
chose
he
to
chose
stay.
to,
You
yeah, and I let that
choose.
door open.
Like he chose those
Right.
ways. Could he have stopped himself? Of course. Absolutely.
Of course.
I want to react a certain kind of way. Many of us do, but we choose not to. You know, as angry as I've been in my life in different circumstances, I choose not to put my hand on this person or hit this person or run over this person. Or everybody know a little bit of road rage. You know, most people have been there at some point in their life where they just wish they could have just drive down that car off the road and, you know, into the ravine. But we choose not to. So I don't want there to be a misconception and be like, or even this person you use this excuse, oh, it's because I drank, but it's a choice.
It's a choice.
Yeah, you drank and you smoked, but it's still a choice.
Yeah.
You there is everyone. We use a little devil on this side, angel on one side, devil on the other side. The Holy Spirit is speaking to you, my child. You're not supposed to be doing that. You know better.
I knew better.
You choose wrath.
Mm-hmm.
You choose wrath.
We all choose.
That's why there's a law for abuse.
I'm just saying, yeah, it's just you give the enemy a open door, he gonna step right in. So, and that's just what happened. The same way it happened with me, but that happened, and he slapped me in my face and was like, yeah. I was like, if he wasn't in here, I would kill you. Like as we say, if he wasn't in this house, I would kill you. And I really believe. And all the times he would tell me, a few times I would believe, but in that moment, I would believe it. It was just so much. Whether I went through this for the same thing when I was pregnant, like just a lot of abuse before, during, and after pregnancy. So it's just like a lot of abuse. But that night, it's like, wow, I'll kill you if you wasn't in your grandma. I'll kill you. And I start boohoo crying because he hit me, and I just couldn't believe. Like after all that, even after my grandma came downstairs, you hit me. And he was like, yeah, that's what you do. You hit a bee when she don't listen to you. And I was just like, wow,
broken.
Wow,
he has a broken mentality.
But that's fine. But I'm just going to say I'm just telling you guys all the stuff that happened before God set me free. Then one time happened, drunk again, and was being belligerent. And I went to go take my son and go to the next room because I wasn't doing it. And I forgot, I was asking him to help me get up and get a bottle because I felt like I just always do it. You know, you're just tired. Like sometimes even though you have a baby with someone, you still feel alone. You still do it by yourself. And I was already only 21. I was just like, this is too much. I just had a baby. I'm just like, this is a lot on me. Anyways, get my son. I'm like, he's arguing. He's saying stuff to me in his sleep. So I'm like, all right, I'm just letting it go because he's half asleep. But get up. I don't know how it happened, ironically. And then I knew this is where like God had things start clicking for me because I had my son our son in my hand, my hand, and he pulled me like he was like dragging me. So he clawed my whole hand. Took forever for the scars to go away. Clawed my whole hand and pulled me with our son in my hand, and then cocked back and slapped me in my face to where I know it caught my son because my son screamed out, and I knew, yeah, like subconsciously I just knew I didn't want for my son what I seen my family go through, and I know how it messed me up internally, emotionally, and then the camel broke. I remember one night.
And when I say this, I'm not even condoning abuse, but her dad didn't do those things to me. Like,
That's why I said I
he
know it was
have
like.
his issues, but he didn't do that to me. That I don't think I would have. The person, like, but her dad was more verbally. She saw a lot too with the verbal, but definitely not to those extents. But abuse is abuse. Abuse
And
is abuse.
I say, last thing that happened, disrespected me, and I was getting tired, and then waking up, and even after all that disrespect, and after that happened, still disrespected me, and I just couldn't believe it. Like, I'm like, oh, I'm about to go tell my family, and he like running up on me, like demanding my key, my car key, because he used to use my stuff more than I used it, run my stuff down. But it's okay, you know, we live and we learn. And I just remember, like, dang, one time I was like, I'm tired of him talking to me like this. I'm like, why do I have to give him my car key so he can go to the gym, like for leisure, for his leisure? I'm here with the baby, all like always. So he can go smoke. Like, I was just tired of it, you know. So I took my son, my husband, and I went into the other room because my grandparents have other room downstairs. I just went into the other room and I sat and I just locked the door because he was getting ready to go to the gym. I was like, you're not about to keep disrespecting me, and you know. And then I thought I was wrong because then he like, Brittany, open up the door. I'm like, no, I'm okay. I was like, you disrespected me. Until you apologize, you're not getting the keys to my car. It's my car. Like, by right, it's my car, you know. And I'm like sitting there. I'm just praying. I'm like, God, you know, praying that he don't hurt me and my son, because my grandpa was out in the kitchen, but you know he didn't hear. And I'm thinking he not gonna do that much because my grandpa's in the kitchen. They're saying, "Oh, my son is in there," you know, just little using little things. My son is in there, this and this and that. I think you don't care about that. It's you're fine. He's fine. And he takes himself. He busts through the room door, and I just
And I'm like,
remember
how do they not hear everything happening upstairs? Like,
they didn't hear. No, they were upstairs. They didn't hear, and I was surprised they didn't hear. Especially my grandpa was in the kitchen. He didn't hear it because my grandpa would have said something. They didn't hear it, and I remember he busted in the room, and eyes, like I'll tell you, the demon eyes, bloodshot red. And I was like, give me the keys, this, da, da, da. And walking up, charging at me. And I'm like, you're going to hit me here with our son on his bed? You going to really hit me? And then walk back.
she never screamed out, guys. In all this, she never screamed out. She never called out for help. Brittany she held everything in.
I did. And then I remember him walking back. And I just say demon because, you know, you could just see the spiritual warfare. Like my mom said, we all have choices. That this was been breeding before, you know.
Yeah, because I don't want it to get.
Like, oh, I'm just.
I don't want people to be in an abusive relationship.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's a demon on him. If it, no, it's still it's a choice. You cannot save anyone.
One thing I thought was out that relationship. Well, I remember a friend of mine was like, well, why don't, like, one person said, like, why don't you leave if this is happening? I'm like, no, he needs me.
That was
like,
your cousin, right?
No, it was someone else. It's a friend of mine, a mutual friend. And I was like, he's like, no, he needs me. Like, he really needs me. Like, his family, like, you don't know his situation. Like, he needs me. I thought I could save him. Only God can save, because he created us. We can't save nobody. And fast forward, so we ended up fighting over my key, ripping my shorts. And then finally I got the strength, like fighting over my son is on this bed. Finally charged, and I'm like, this is my key. I don't owe you anything. If you want to apologize, I'll give you my key. But I'm tired of you disrespecting me. To the point where the guy grabbed his genitals, because he was like rough handling me when I'm through the room. Grab his genitals, grab his balls, and he like clawed my face. And he left. He just walked out, took a trash bag, and left. And I went because I was supposed to be going to Walmart with my baby to get something. I sat in the car and I remember FaceTiming a friend. And I couldn't believe it. I felt broke. I just felt lower than low as normal because now I had a baby.
And this is happening in her grandparents' house.
Yeah, they didn't know.
And it's not like, I don't want you guys to think she lived in a hovel. No, she lived in
the nice
neighborhood on Long Island.
Beautiful home.
If she had just called out even once, but just to show you how that abuse was controlling her life, she was now embedded in the abuse. Like, a lot of people will say, well, why doesn't she leave? You can't leave, guys. There's no strength to leave because you have been broken and browbeated so much that you think there is no escape. Here's the thing about being in abuse, because I can speak personally. You feel like, how am I going to survive without this person? Or now that I brought a child in the world, like I'm breaking him away from his father. How and the spirit of doubt comes, and then you feel like, okay, I gotta stay in this, I gotta make it work. And then she may have felt like, oh, I gotta do better than my mom because I gotta show it. Like I felt like that. Like when I was with your dad, because I even later on married him, through all of that. So at the end of the day, there's really no judgment. And I don't like people to say, well, you should have just left. You don't have the strength to leave. If that person had the strength to leave and it wasn't the time, we just hope to God that it's not too late, that you don't die. And that's how that's the thing.
Right. That is the thing. And I just feel like as you said, to me, I'm like, judgment don't matter. People are going to judge you regardless. But when God calls you to something, you got to do it. So like you say, if God is for us, who can be against us?
Jesus was judging. It does not matter me anyone's opinion like that.
I feel like after that, I was just like, dang, I called my friend FaceTime her. She was like, oh my gosh, what is wrong with your face? You have to leave. Like, you gotta stop doing this.
And because I'm asking the questions that I know the viewers are gonna ask. So nobody, your grandparents, nobody noticed your face.
No, everybody was home upstairs. Like,
no, but if your friend is noticing your face, I would think the next day.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, you don't understand how much I stayed in that room. Like I was just.
Maybe like, I'm not understanding how much you stayed in that room.
No, she doesn't understand. I was in that room and I would have braids. Like I would cover it. Lady, there was so much, and then if I feel like I was around my grandma, I remember one time telling her a lie about how my arm was messed up and him sitting there just looking like he was kind of like scared, and my grandma was like, really, you fell? And oh gosh, she said, let me see. Oh gosh, like that. My grandma's like, she go like stuff like that, but she didn't know anything.
No, I know she didn't know, but and the reason why I keep reiterating that, because I need other parents or sisters or uncle, anyone that may see a little smidgen but not sure, because you're like, you think you see, but then you're like, nah.
Or even the way someone pick up and told me, because I remember my uncle said, like, I used to hear the way he talked to you, but I used to think, but that's not right.
Right.
Any little bit of, it's just like, there's like any sign you see, pick up on it.
And then sometimes you don't see the signs.
Exactly.
And because a lot of people like to judge, because I watched many things and see many. A lot of people like to say, "Oh, well, nobody saw." No, not if they hide it well. No, you can hide what you want, guys.
They didn't see anything. In my face, like from here, I think I still have this healed a lot. Thank you, Jesus.
She has a lot of pictures. Like this is not lies. There's a lot of pictures.
I was just like,
there's a pictures and videos, guys, that I have to say this because I don't want anyone. None of this is embellished. This is the truth. And she has everything she's telling you. Unfortunately, there are videos and pictures. And it's unfortunate because I can't watch them.
Text of the person admitting it. Like, it is what it is. Because now we have a child involved. So I have to keep this as documentation. So if we ever have to go to court, this just is what it is. This is where it came. But it is what it is. So I remember, like, my friend, like, you gotta go, Brittany. Like, no, he's either gonna end up killing you or you're gonna lose it and lose your son and end up going off on him. I didn't think I had the strength to do that, so I knew it was either he was gonna end up killing me. But even with all of that, I'm still calling him. I'm still wondering where he's at. I'm still like, what the heck? That's
because that attachment.
But anyways, last thing, guys. Sorry, last thing before we left to Florida. That was all of that. We ended up reconciling, just being like, yeah, we not together, and we can't do this together. We're not together. We stopped having sexual intercourse for a while, for months. We were just at this thing, we were just cohabitating in one room at one point, and that was before Florida. Day before Florida, night of Florida. We even called my mom so much because was that what time?
No, that's what I'm saying. You're getting mixed up with the times.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. She had already came. I already met the baby.
No, but those incidents I'm talking about did happen before we went.
Yeah, but the first trip to Florida came.
But then came around my birthday. A week before my birthday.
Yeah, because her birthday is August 16th. So what had happened was, I was going to Mexico, remember? And she had said before I was going to Mexico that, well, when they were leaving, they said, Mom, we want to send the baby to you for like 2 weeks or so. And I'm like, of course. Like, it was I was excited about that. But then they changed their mind and said, oh, we don't think we're going to come. We're going to come in December. And I said, oh, okay. Mind you, I'm still under the impression now that this is a, like, I push aside my doubts. When you feel something, parents, when your instinct is telling you, trust it. That's the Holy Spirit
Yeah.
speaking. Because I thought he wasn't, I, anyone that knew me, my close intimate friends, and they knew I would be like, he's abusive. Like, I did you ever see any evidence? No, I just know he's abusive. It's just something telling me. Man, I remember there's times I'd have dreams. I remember talking to my best friend in tears. Like, I just feel like my child is not safe. I feel like my daughter is getting abused. I just feel, do not ask me where I know, but that was the Spirit of God telling me, because instinctively I just knew, like, that gut feeling like something is wrong. That is an important feeling. We need to always follow that. And so I had that feeling, but when he came, they seemed okay. So I pushed it. Other than smoking weed and drinking, like, what can I do? I can't stop that. You understand what I'm saying? And they were adults. They were on their own by then. She was already 21 then. So I'm like, okay, there's nothing I can do. Like 20, 21 going almost 22, because it was almost your birthday.
Oh yeah.
Right. So and so I can't stop them. The only thing I remember saying to her was, hey, Britt, you guys, I don't know if you smoke in a car, but remember the baby. Because, and then you're like, no, like, oh, okay. And we don't smoke with him in the car. And I was like, it doesn't matter. The car smells like weed. So the baby's going to inhale that. That's the only thing I remember saying, because I didn't want to push her away from me again. And so I went to Mexico, came back, and my friend, and she calls me and she goes, oh, Mom, do you think you'd still be able to watch the baby? And I was like, now I had already put the baby out my head and was like, okay, I got to go back to work, because I came back from Mexico with a week to return back to my job. School was about to start. So I'm like, okay, I got to go back to work. But then I'm like, you know what? I worked it out in my head that, okay, by the time I start work, I'll have him a day or two. And, I started work, but school didn't officially start yet. And I could bring him to work. And so I worked it out, and then you take it from there. So this is going to be her second trip.
That's my second trip. So before that happened, we was like, like my mom said, we were supposed to send him, and we realized, maybe money is not the best right now. We shouldn't send him. Just keep him. And then we were like, you know what? And he kept saying, oh, we need a break or whatever. And I sent him, and like, before your birthday, we could do stuff, and it'd just be, a time to clear our heads since a baby. And I was like, all right, cool. Let me ask my mom, and then maybe our parents could just fluctuate because they were close by. But mainly it was my mom. And so call my mom. My mom said yes, even though it was like last
I was good enough to watch the baby now. You see how life thing for him? He didn't want her around me. But now the baby's in picture. Oh, I know your mom will take care of the baby.
And we were far.
I know the baby will. I know she won't lack anything. Like, so it shows you the manipulative spirit that I was talking about.
So yeah. So I was just like, okay. I asked my mom. She said yes. I remember it was like July 29th. That was supposed to be coming.
Yes.
I made up our mind, telling my grandparents, oh, it's my first time being around my baby. It's gonna be hard.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna be gone for like 2 weeks. That's what we're saying. Preparing, And called my mom even the night before. And I'm like, Mom, what should I be packing for him? I'm doing everything. I'm packing his bag.
Yeah, because she's a new mom, so everything she's questioning.
But I'm doing everything by myself. I'm packing his bag and stuff. His father paid for your ticket, and I'm just like, all right. Everything was good, and he's dropping us to the airport in my car in the morning, and blah blah blah. Because I was supposed to go for like the weekend and then come back. I remember him like sometimes like, oh, why don't you stay the whole like time with your mom and for my birthday? And I was just like,
and just come back closer to her birthday.
Like, no, come back after
when the cat's away, the mouse want to play.
And I was like, what? No, come back after. And I was like, I was like, yeah, think about it. You could be doing this and that with your mom. You can have catch-up time. Now it's okay for me to have catch-up time with my mom.
Because he's dictating it. That's abuse, guys.
And not just that. I was far, so I'd have to come back. I have to come back to a whole different state. And then, like, we were in Florida.
Right.
So it was okay. But whatever. Fast forward. Night of. After we talked to my mom, we get ready, I'm packing everything. Me and my son's stuff was packed. We had to go. And I don't know. I think, was my son crying? I don't know. But I was up with him. I was doing it.
No, you were up because he was.
I was up with him. It was feel like he was crying. He was being fussy.
He wasn't even 6 months then, was he?
He was just about like 5 months. And still going through the almost every 2 hours thing, or now three, and it was always me. I felt like that was comforting him. And I remember his father just saying, oh, I don't know if I could take you to the airport. No, no, no. Like before that happened, I said, because I was tired. I knew what I had to entail. Even though we were gonna be having a break from my son for like 2 weeks, I was still doing everything. I packed this stuff, all the stuff for the day. I'm doing everything as normal. And I asked him for help because I'm like, okay, well, he not gonna see him for the weekend. I'm still gonna be with him, taking care of him. So, and his father was like early in the wee hours in the morning, but his father didn't have work till 3 in the afternoon, and we was leaving early in the morning. So I'm like, you got more than enough time to sleep. So I'm like, can you just help me, like, get a bottle or make him a bottle or take him whatever? And because he didn't want to hear that, whatever. So then I don't know if he kind of like got an attitude or whatever. And I remember
And you weren't drinking
no, we weren't drinking or
or
anything.
smoking then?
No, we were
Because I
coherent.
just want
Yeah,
people
people
to
to know.
understand.
Well, we were very coherent. I had my take my son in the morning to the plane. I would never, I know I was like drinking and smoking, but I was still a good mom. Like I took care of my son.
Yeah,
I
no
was
one
very
is debating
responsible.
that.
But I just remember him getting angry, and I'm like, and then out of nowhere it came, oh, I don't know if I could take y'all to the airport because I'm tired. I ain't getting enough sleep. I'm not getting enough sleep. I'm thinking, first off, one, it's my car that you're taking me in. Two, like, it's our son. We did this together. When we made it cool and we laid down there and had that baby. So now we gotta take care of the baby. And I'm doing it by myself, so I didn't see the problem. I just asked you for one thing. That's how I felt. Then I'm like, okay. And then to save argument, that okay, well, if you help me, then can you pay for us to get an Uber then? Because mind you, it's my car that you taking me. It's not like you using your, and it's like, forget it, whatever. All of a sudden, I don't know what happened, but things just switched just like that, and I was getting cursed out like a dog.
There's no
Like
alcohol or no
alcohol,
weed,
no
guys.
nothing. And
There's no
it's no
influences.
influence. Cursed out like a dog, like walking me like a dog. And I just remember something came over me. Now I know then. Now I know now. I mean that what I didn't know then was it was. I know it was the Holy Spirit.
It's peace.
It was peace.
Gives you peace.
Like he gave. I didn't want to fight, and I remember telling him specifically because I know he remembers because the last words I said to him before he ever saw me again. I said he was cursing me out. I don't want you. You nasty. All the girls I have. Da, 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 da. I'm just giving you guys a rundown of the abuse because I know it's going to be familiar to some. And I said, I don't want you this and that. He's like, I don't want you this and that. I'm like, that's fine. I was like, well, tell your family because I would tell mine as well, but that we are no longer together. Like this is done. I said, I won't even stoop to your level and talk to you the way you speaking to me. I won't do that anymore because I'm done. He didn't believe me. But I had such peace in me after almost 6.5 years that I knew I was done. I laid on that bed. I laid back and I just played my music in my ear. I held my son. I was gonna go to the other room, but New York be hot in the summer. There's no like general
no
AC, so I had to stay in that room with the fan. And I just slept on the opposite end of the bed with my son because my son was cranky, and he cuddled under me all the time. And I said, I just know it's and that's all he got out of me. When I tell you,
remember he was shaking.
Yeah, I was to say. When I tell you that man in that bed, the spirit in my shaking. The bed was shaking. I'm just thinking, with something else. Like, why are you so angry? Like, why are you so angry? Such rage. And I'm thinking, but like, what's the problem? I was done arguing because I felt that peace. And he didn't believe. I know he didn't believe me. It's just another time, Brittany just talking because I've always gone back. I've always said it. He always controlled me. And at one point, he got up, and I was like, "What you gonna do? Hit me with my baby in my hand again?" And then he shook, and his anger he just laid there. And then my son, because as he would raise his voice, and my son jumped. And mind, this is a baby who could barely hold up his neck. My son jumped. And I knew, I was like, I'm done. I don't want that for my son. So, and I knew, and as I laid there that night, I sat talking to myself. And I said, yeah, God, I'm done. I don't know how it's going to be done, but I got to tell my mom when I get there. And I remember now, I guess, kept asking God, help me to get there safe. Let me hold my tongue. Let nothing stop me from getting to that airport and getting where I need to get. Because that's how the enemy is tricky. Because I would have never made the plans to help me to get there safe. Got there safe, got through the night, didn't speak, whole time packing bag, angry, not saying nothing to me, not taking care of my son. I'm doing it all as usual. Fine. in the car, mind you, this New York highways too, speeding like crazy. I'm like, and I'm asking like, can you like slow down? Like I wasn't trying to like tap him, like, can you? Oh, don't touch me! Don't talk to me! What? I'm like, I'm just some. I was like, when you're upset and I'm driving, I was like, I don't talk to you like that. But I'm just asking you, can you just slow down? We have at the end of the day, if you're mad at me, we have a baby in the car. God forbid. Slow down, kind of, get where we get. And he's just still angry. But I didn't say nothing. Both AirPods in his ear, mad, angry. I'm like, okay. Get there. Don't help me take the baby. Just post my stuff outside. And then I'm looking at him. I remember saying, like, so you're not going to help me? Like, he gets back in the car. And I'm like, so you're not going to help me with our baby? Like, take him out the car? Because at the end of the day, how I felt was, even though we had problems, we still got a kid. And he didn't ask to be here. He didn't ask for
Yeah, but you're logically
But
thinking.
I was logically thinking because I don't deal with the anger
and you're
problems
a
in the
mom.
sense.
That's the difference.
Yeah. And so then I just remember saying, okay. And he was like, what? Slammed my door, took off in my car. That was it.
Left you guys at the curb.
That was at the curb, girl. The whole curb. So it's okay.
But
because I knew.
I want to touch on something you said, and I thought that was very, very smart of her. You never warned him that you want to come back. Mm-hmm. She just, I thank God for that. She never warned him that he wouldn't come back, that she wouldn't come back. She just basically made that up within herself. She said she wasn't going to be with him, but like he didn't believe, because how many times she probably said that. But like I said, she was ready to be done.
Mm-hmm. I had to be ready. Not nobody else could tell me to be ready, because I knew I was supposed to leave him a long time ago. And he probably knew he was supposed to leave me, because like I said, we were in a toxic situation. But none of us were ready to leave. It was toxic. Our spirits were just attracted that toxicity, and we were just bonded to each other and soul tied. And we had a baby at that point too, and I was just like, I didn't want this for myself. I didn't want to be a single mom raising my kid on his own. So now then I was really fighting. I'm about to do this on my own. I can't do this by myself. I can't leave now. If anything, I should have left before the baby, but I didn't have the strength to leave before the baby. Now
the baby gave her strength.
But my son, by the grace of God, gave me that strength. Mm-hmm. Because I didn't want him to turn into that man that his father was. I didn't want his father like I didn't want that toxicity. I didn't want him seeing, oh, it's okay to disrespect a woman. My mom is taking it, so this is how I could treat him. No. Yeah. I don't want that generational curse that followed his father to follow him, that followed me to follow. It's broken in Jesus' name. And I give God glory, But we thank you guys for watching.
Before you cut it short, I know you're going to say thank you guys for watching, but that's how she basically ended up in Florida. And I guess we got to cut it short.
Yes.
Because our little man is definitely saying cut it short. So on the next video, we'll
go more into how our transition.
Yeah. And how it's going, I guess.
It's going. And glory be to God. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and press that notification.
Have a blessed one, guys.
Have a blessed one. We love you. Bye.